Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're just not good enough? Like, no matter what you accomplish, deep down you're a fraud? And that any day now, everyone's gonna find out? Yeah, well, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. To really get into this, I want to take you back with me. So, picture this. It's 2 years ago. I'm in Mestia, Georgia, standing in the snow, just talking with a friend. And this conversation, believe it or not, it changed everything for me. My friend turns to me and he says, "You're such a great photographer." Now, that should feel amazing, right? It's a huge compliment, but it didn't. Instead, it was like a switch flipped and this wave of self-doubt just washed over me. And that's exactly what I said to him. I just couldn't accept it because, honestly, I felt like I was failing at, well, everything. I didn't even feel like I had the right to call myself a photographer. It was this classic moment where what I felt on the inside was the complete opposite of what people saw on the outside. Now, instead of trying to convince me, my friend did something pretty brilliant. He just pulled out his phone and drew this super simple graph right there in the cold. He had no idea it even had a name, but this little drawing, it was about to explain a feeling I've been wrestling with my entire life. So what he drew is basically a map. It's a map of a psychological journey that so many of us go on. It explains that weird paradox of why sometimes the more we learn, the less confident we actually feel. It shows the whole path, from knowing nothing to being a true expert, and the huge, scary valley that sits right in the middle. It took me about a year to find out that this little graph has a name. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's this wild cognitive bias that describes the totally backward relationship between how confident we feel and how competent we actually are when we're learning something. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so when you first start learning something, anything at all, you get a little bit of knowledge and bam, your confidence just skyrockets. You think, I've totally got this, I'm a natural. This peak, this beautiful peak of overconfidence has a fantastic name, Mount Stupid. But then something starts to shift. As you keep going, you start to see just how big the subject really is. You begin to understand all the little details, the complexities, and you become painfully aware of everything you don't know. And here's the crazy part. Your actual knowledge is going up, but your confidence starts to take a nosedive. And it's not a gentle slope, it's a cliff. You fall, and you fall hard, right into what they call the valley of despair. And that's that horrible place where you're just thinking, wow, I know absolutely nothing. I'm terrible at this. It's where so many people just want to give up. And it's right here at the bottom of this valley where another feeling starts to grow. It's called imposter syndrome. You know the one, that little voice in your head that's always whispering that you're not really that good, that any success you've had is just pure luck, and that any second you're going to be exposed as a total fraud. For me, this whole feeling was wrapped up in that old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. I felt like I could do a bunch of different things okay, but I wasn't a true expert, a master at any of them. And that just led me to wonder, constantly, what value could I possibly offer anyone? I'd run through the list in my head. I can draw, but I'm not a professional artist. I get graphic design, but I can't really use Illustrator. I can take pictures and shoot video, but am I a professional? You see the pattern, right? That voice in my head was just constantly finding ways to disqualify my own skills. And look, if your own inner critic isn't loud enough, don't worry. The internet is always happy to chime in. When you're already feeling down, these kinds of comments, they feel like proof that your worst fears are true. I want to show you a few real comments that I've gotten. So here's one. This one just kind of dismisses all the work, right? It boils it all down to just wanting to be famous. It totally ignores the real reason you do the work, which is, to share something you care about. Oof, this one cuts deep. It goes right for the heart of that imposter feeling. It's basically saying you don't know enough, so you have no right to share anything. It's the ultimate confirmation of that fear that you are in fact just pretending. And then there's this kind. It just chalks up any success you have to something totally superficial, completely wiping out any skill or effort you put in. And the worst part, when you're stuck down in that valley, a tiny part of you actually believes it. So the million-dollar question is, how do you get out of that valley? For years, I was looking for a way to break the cycle. And I realized it's not about making the feelings go away, it's about reframing them. It's about changing your perspective. And I found some amazing advice that really helped me do that. This quote from Ali Abdal, it was a total game changer for me. Think about it. A guru is this untouchable expert, way up high. But a guide is just someone on the exact same path as you, but there may be a few steps further along. You don't have to know everything to help the person right behind you. That's it. That's all it takes. And Christo says something really similar that I love. The whole point isn't to wait until you're this perfect, all-knowing expert. The real value is in sharing the journey while you're on it. You can help so many people just by showing them what you're learning right now, as it happens. And finally, this one, I think everyone needs to hear this. Done is better than perfect. Chasing perfection is just fear dressed up as high standards. It's an excuse to not finish. A finished project, even if it has flaws, is 1,000,000 times more valuable than a perfect idea that just stays in your head forever. So when you put all this together, you realize something really important. Imposter syndrome isn't some kind of disease you need to cure. It's actually a side effect of growth. It's a sign that you're pushing yourself, learning to live with it, to manage it. That's the real skill. Like Austin Kleon says, the creative journey isn't a straight line up. It's a loop. It doesn't matter how great your last project was. When you start the next one, you're right back at the beginning, feeling like a total beginner again. And that's okay. That's not a bug, it's a feature. It's just part of making new things. Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? First, your worth as a human being has absolutely nothing to do with your successes or failures. Second, that feeling of not being good enough is usually just a growing pain. Third, you absolutely do not have to go through this alone. Lean on your people. And finally, and this is the most important one, you are worthy, right now, exactly as you are. Imposter syndrome makes us wear masks, right? The mask of the perfect expert, the flawless creator, the person who has it all figured out. But the truth is, people see us more clearly than we see ourselves. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What mask, what perfect image are you finally ready to let go of?